Today we are going to talk about post-colonialism and Kenyan literature. And when I talk about post-colonialism, basically I mean the literature that is written in countries that were colonized by the Britishers. Post-colonialism means after colonization, which means after independence of those areas. I am going to speak specifically about African post-colonial literature, and my emphasis will be more on Kenyan literature. So if we are asked to define post-colonial literature, we might say that it is literature which addresses the problems and consequences of the decolonization of a country, especially questions relating to the political and cultural independence of formerly subjugated people and themes such as racialism and colonialism. We have a range of theory about this. If we look at Kenya, it is a beautiful place. It has got a wonderful wildlife. It has got a very rich cultural heritage and tradition, and the place itself is beautiful. Looking at the history of Kenya, we find that Great Britain colonized Kenya in 1895 when the East African Protectorate was set up before becoming a colony in 1920, and at that time the language that was used for trade was basically Swahili. But when the Britishers came, they reduced the influence of Swahili and made English the medium of instruction in Kenyan schools. The same thing was done in India when the Britishers colonized us. Now, English remained in official use even after Kenya got its independence on 12th December 1963. Kenya has a very strong tradition of oral literature. When I talk about oral literature, what I mean basically is literature that is passed from one generation to another, and it continues today even in several languages. As a result, Kenya's position as a former colony of England, the national literature concurrently belongs to several bodies of writing, including that of the Commonwealth of Nations and Africa as a whole. Most written literature today is in English. Some scholars consider Swahili to be marginalized as a language despite Kenya's independence. So most writers even today in Kenya are writing in English rather than in their own Swahili language. Kenyan literature primarily, so it's in English, although the official languages there continue to be English and Swahili. Now, numerous European authors also based their works in Africa, so the backdrop was Africa, which includes authors like Isaac Dinesen, who wrote Out of Africa, which also was turned into a major film, which starred Meryl Streep. Then Elspeth Huxley wrote The Flame Trees of Thika, and Marjorie Olude Makioge wrote Coming to Birth, which won the Sinclair Prize, and Beryl Markham wrote West with the Night. Notable works include Utendi wa Tambuka, which means the story of Tambuka, written by a man named Wengo, which was at the court of the Sultan of Pate. And the epic poem is one of the earliest known examples in Swahili, and was written something around 1141 of the Islamic calendar, or 1728 AD. Thiongo's first novel, Weep Not Child, was the first novel in English to be published by an East African. His River Between is currently on Kenya's national secondary school syllabus. His novel, A Grain of Wheat, was said to mark the coming of age of Anglophone literature in East Africa. There's a very marked difference if you see the language of Kenyan English and the standard British and American English. There's a marked difference in the style of speaking as well as writing. So if a Kenyan would say, "Are you getting me?" the standard British or American would say, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" If the Kenyan said, "I'm alighting," the British or the American would say, "I'm getting off the bus." If the Kenyan says, "Isn't it?" the standard British or American would say. Isn't that right? Don't you agree? So, there are so many examples of the differences in language. So, if the Kenyan says, take tea and bread, the British or American would say, have some tea and bread. So, the difference is seen in their writings as well. The canon of Kenyan literature is one of the richest on the African continent, and Kenyan writers have played a decisive role in the promotion of African writing. They have also fostered a thriving local publishing scene, which is slowly but surely winning young Kenyan writers the international exposure they deserve, as the success of the Story Moja Hay Festival reveals. Now, this particular festival has brought many of the Kenyan writers, African writers, to the international forum, and people have started recognizing them. There are many important writers, and some of the works I'd like to discuss with you. Like there is Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and he wrote Weep Not Child, which documents the effects of the Mau Mau War. And besides that, he wrote A Grain of Wheat, which focuses on the Kenyan struggle for independence and weaves a very complex web of betrayal, deceit, and bitter rivalry beneath the seemingly celebratory occasion of Kenya's independence. In recent years, he has chosen to write in the Kenyan languages like Gikuyu and Swahili, and has published several works in these two languages. He is supposed to be a very unafraid writer and very outspoken too. Binyavanga Wainaina is again a very famous writer, and he has become something of a figurehead for a younger generation of Kenyan and East African writers. His debut was One Day I Will Write About This Place, and which is a memoir of his youth, and it has been described as a Kenyan portrait of the artist as a young man, which brings to our mind the book that had been written, The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. The title, seems very similar, and it instantly thrust him into the literary limelight. Then he is known for his satirical work, How to Write About Africa, in which he says, in your text, treat Africa as if it were one country. Now, people have the tendency of talking about Africa has poverty, as though the whole of Africa was one country. But actually, Africa is not one country. Africa is a continent. It's made up of so many small countries, and each country has its own tradition, own language, own culture, own problems also. Grace Ogot wrote The Promised Land. Then she also released a string of celebrated works, including Land Without Thunder, The Other Woman, The Island of Tears. And she was actually the founder member of the Writers Association of Kenya, and the first African female writer to be published in English. Muthoni Garland won the Cain Prize in 2006 and was the founding member of the Story Moja, a writer's collection and publishing house based in Nairobi. Her works include Halfway Between Nairobi, Dandori, Tracking the Scent of My Mother, which talks about the rapidly modernizing Kenya and all the problems that come along with it, and she was shortlisted for the Cain Prize. She played a central role in organizing the Story Moja Hay Festival, which aims to celebrate and promote the best of Kenyan and East African literature. Among the other publications is the Helicopter Beatles. Then you have Yvonne Adhiambo Ovor, and who wrote The Weight of Whispers and won the Cain Prize for African Writing in 2003. Apart from that, Dust was also written by the same writer, which ranges over the contemporary history of Kenya, offering a stark portrayal of the lingering effect of conflict and colonialism on a people and their individual identities. And The Weight of Whispers actually depicted a Rwandan aristocrat who fled to Kenya following the 1994 genocide, and is a masterful multi-layered portrayal of the political and social chaos of the time. Meja Mwangi was a writer who started publishing in 1970, and novels include Taste of Death, Carcass for Hounds, Kill Me Quick, Going Down River Road, The Cockroach Dance. Although Mwangi's subject matter may often be grim, he writes with a garrulous wit which never allows the more depressing elements of his work to overcome its human qualities. Francis D. Imbuga wrote Aminata and Betrayal in the City, both of which focus on power structures within post-colonial Kenya and relate the ways in which traditional hierarchies and conceptions of femininity intersect with new forms of power and dominance. He has published a novel called Miracle of Rimera, which deals with HIV/AIDS epidemic and its devastating effect on communities in Africa. He taught literature at the Kenyatta University and was a lifelong exponent of East African literary forms. He passed away in 2012. Marjorie Olide Macgo. He was born in 1928, traveled to Kenya in 1954, and he worked as a missionary. She worked as a missionary basically. She was a hugely prolific writer and also revealed the range of her talent by writing and publishing not only novels but also poetry and short stories. Her most celebrated work is Coming to Birth, and other works include Murder in Majango, Street Life, The Present Moment, A Farm Called Kishinev, and Song of Nyaloka, and other poems. Margaret Ogola was a celebrated author and a doctor and had dedicated her life to the treatment of HIV/AIDS in East Africa. Her literary talent was revealed when she released her first novel, The River and the Source, in 1994. The epic tale tells the story of 3 generations of women in a traditional Luo community and relates the changing dynamics of the community and the women's shifting place within it. Apart from that, she went on to publish a sequel of The River and the Source named I Swear by Apollo. And she was also awarded for all her medical and humanitarian achievements. She was awarded the Familias Award for Humanitarian Services for her work with HIV/AIDS patients. She was given the Jomo Kenyatta Literature Prize and the Commonwealth Writers Prize for the best first book in African region. Lily Mabura developed a career as an academic, and currently she works as an assistant professor of English at the American University of Sharjah. She is best known for a collection of short stories entitled How Shall We Kill the Bishop? She was shortlisted for the 2010 Kane Fiction Prize. And Mabura has also published a novel, The Pretoria Conspiracy, which was awarded the National Book Week Literary Award for the best first novel, all of which have marked her out as one to watch within Kenya's thriving literary scene. Now, if there's any question which you have on post-colonialism regarding African literature, Kenyan literature, please leave your questions in the place given below, and I shall try my best to answer them. Thank you.